All right, this is part 2 for the 2001 Lexus LS430. You'd have to watch part 1, but basically in part 1, we talked about that the windows won't roll up and down besides the driver's window. None of the other windows roll up and down. The mirrors won't open up. I believe the sunroof won't work. Bunch of other body functions, right? So watching part 1, there's what they call the bean bus and the sail bus. Sail bus is like your fast, high-speed CAN bus. And then your bean bus is your body electronics area network. And what we found on that is, you know, it should be a square wave, absolutely, on that bus, like any other bus communication, whether it's CAN bus, PCI bus, UART, or whatever it is, right? Back in the day, everybody seemed like they had their own kind of bus, or, you know, K-line, all that. But this one is what they call bean, again, body electronic area network. It looks like it's a 0 to 12 volt square wave, and we were getting high volts all the time on both wires going to the gateway, this one and this one. Short to voltage, it seems like. And this is the gateway module. Everybody, all these modules have to talk to the gateway module, right? It's basically the master. So what I did is I was going to try to depin these wires back here, but with my depinning kit, but it was being a pain in the butt. I don't want to break the little clips. They're a little brittle. So what I did is I just cut them. I labeled them for the different ones with a black piece of tape on them, which one goes where. And when I'm done, I will solder them up, shrink tube them, all that good stuff. So what I'm doing now is I got it isolated. So I have key on, engine off with it plugged in. And if you looked, the driver window still works, but no other windows, nothing else works, right? So I got my oscilloscope out for my Ultra. I'm just gonna use one channel for right now, and I'm gonna go on this wire right here. Well, let me see what wire that is. That is gonna be, let me look. That's going to be number 4. So I'm going to go on 4. So again, remember 4 and 15. 15 and 4. So we're right there. We got the wire cut here and here. Purple with the blue. So I'm on the gateway module. I'm going to hit my scope. And there's our square wave. Now we can change our time base, put a trigger on there. So right there's our square wave. So if I freeze this, it's going from, well, roughly 10, 11 volts to ground. Now if I start it, it's going to go a little bit higher because alternator voltage. So it moved up there to 12, 13 volts. So, if I freeze this, what this is your zeros and ones. This packet, that's a packet of information. You can serial decode it. You know, it may say open window, closed window, whatever it is. This is your zeros and ones. So right now we're not shorted to voltage. That's what we want to see, is a square wave. Like if you were to zoom in here, there, I mean, it's just basically on and off. Right there. Now I'm going to hook up to the other wire. Alrighty, now I'm on pin 15, off the gateway module. Hit play. We're on a 1-second division. Same thing, key on, engine off. I got a square wave. You know, you could change it here. Here's your messages. Put a trigger in there. But basic thing is we're seeing our messages, right? That's what we want to see. It's not shorted to ground, which is a good thing. So that tells me that this gateway module is doing what it's supposed to do. If that was still stuck at 12 volts, it'd be like, okay, we got a bad gateway module. But now let's check the wires, because remember, we cut it here. We checked this side of the gateway, it's good. Now we're going to go from this side down and this side down. See what we got there. So let me hook up that next. Alrighty, so I'm on pin 4 again, but I'm on sorry, let's try how to get my camera in here. I'm on the wire harness side, which is the side going back to all these modules. So I'm gonna, it's hard to film this and do this at the same time. I'm gonna hit play, and look, we're stuck at 12 volts, which is incorrect. Now let me move it to the other one. Now I moved it to pin 15, which is the other wire on the wire harness side, again, going down. And we're stuck at 12 volts. That's battery voltage. We got the same thing as battery voltage. Like if I start it, we're going to alternator voltage. That tells me it's a direct short to battery voltage, which also tells me that the gateway module is good. So far, there's no issues with that. And through this entire schematic here, so we, again, cut it, square wave, good, and then down 12 volts, down 12 volts. Why are we having 12 volts on a communication line? These modules should be sending out, you know, a little ping, right? So we might have to go after module, take one module out, hook up, you know, back probe it, hook it up to a power supply individually and see what it sends out, because it'll send a message and it wants to be able to talk. But if they're shorted to 12 volts, if something on this, whether it's a module or a connector or harness or wire, is shortened to 12 volts, it'll never be able to talk to the gateway module. It's going to be so dominant at that state that it won't be able to do nothing. So that's what we got to figure out next. All right, what I got now is I got 2 channels hooked up on the gateway module. I just want to see what they look like, and they are mirror images. So if this was a CAN bus, they would be, well, they'd be mirror images, but they'd be opposite. But this is not a CAN bus. This is a bean bus. That's what they call it. So if you look, they're the exact same thing, right? So that's just another proof that we got a good gateway module. Let me get my trigger on here. So yeah, exactly the same thing. Now, and that was on the gateway module. But remember, on the other module, or not the other module, the other side of the harness, we got shorted to 12 volts. Well, if you look up here, this schematic here that I printed off is that's the window motors. Basically, it shows you all the power and grounds and the fuses and everything, and the bean bus on here. So all this bus, I didn't have a highlighter, so I had to use a green marker. But all this, a green dry erase marker. But anyways, the gateway module is right there, pins 4 and 15. 4 and 15 gateway, and they all go through. They're all the pink with the blue wire. L means blue on this, and it matches up to that. Again, one of these modules, switches, or something is shorting this whole entire bus down, and that's why nothing's working. And that's what we have to figure out. But as opposed to taking each door panel apart and isolating it, that can be time consuming. Newer cars, they'll have like a splice point, a junction port. Christ uses a star connector where you can unplug each one at a time. This thing, what we can do is get to a joint connector on here and at least eliminate a half or a third of the actual bus and see. Now, if we unplug this and we eliminate this part, then we know it's up on this part, or vice versa. So that's what we need to do next. Well, since I'm here, I moved these 2 wires, our connectors, scope leads, to the wire harness side, which is the 12 volts, and you can see they're both 12 volts. 12 volts right here on the green one, 12 volts right here on the red one. So they're obviously shorted to voltage. I just wanted to show that as well. All right, so I did another full system scan with the Ultra with, you know, the bean bus wires unplugged. Pin 4 and 15, 4 and 15. If you remember from part 1, that's what we got. Same thing, which air suspension and the laser cruise we still have comm with, which shows it's on that bus, but obviously the topology's not 100% correct. Or actually it may be, there just may be another bus going to it. Maybe there's like a K line going to it or something as well. I've seen that on other vehicles like Nissans and stuff. So But yeah, so we still have no, obviously we're not gonna be able to talk to these, especially since we got it unhooked there. We never had it before when we hooked it up. So we got the same results. I just wanted to see if these things would go away. If they did, well, that wouldn't be good. That would kind of alleviate us to a different area for troubleshooting. So we are definitely on the right track. Sorry, I had to pause the video for there a little bit. I had a phone call. But anyways, so like I was saying, yeah, the same results as part one. So that confirms that we do, I mean, we know we have a problem. We just got to find out what one of these modules or connectors or harness is shorting the whole bus to ground for the bean bus there, right? We got to figure that out. And like I said, we can go to a joint connection or a junction connection, unplug it, and just kind of see what we got, you know, kind of basically split this bus up and see what's causing the issues. And once we restore comm, I think all this stuff will come back once we, you know, identify the problem. So this will be part two. I don't think I'll do much more today or right now because I got to go run and look at another car quick, and then I want to get back into schematics some more, because my next approach going forward is find where these joint connectors and they're actually at. I want to find that the easiest way, because I don't want to, you know, have to pull door panels off unless I absolutely have to. But I want to find a good spot I can get to isolate it, split the network up in, you know, thirds or halves or whatever I can do to help isolate and find this short to battery for the bean bus. So that'll be it for this part two video for this 2001 Lexus LS430.